Why the world needs both light and dark chosen ones. There is a balance in the universe that we often fail to see, a delicate equilibrium that exists between forces of light and darkness. We are conditioned from an early age to believe that light is good and darkness is evil, that the hero must always defeat the villain, but that we must strive to walk only in the bright path while rejecting the shadows. But if you look deeper, if you truly open your mind beyond the surface-level teachings of society, you will realize that both light and dark are not enemies, they are necessary counterparts. Without one, the other has no meaning. Without the contrast, there is no purpose. Ask yourself this: if there was only light, would we even recognize it as light? If there was no darkness, what would we be comparing it to? The world does not need only heroes, it also needs those who walk in the shadows, those who embrace the darker forces of existence, not as agents of destruction, but as guardians of balance. Think about history, about mythology, about the greatest spiritual figures and sages who have walked this earth. They were not purely beings of light, nor were they purely beings of darkness. They understood both. The greatest warriors were not those who rejected darkness, but those who harnessed it, those who stared into the abyss and did not blink. The greatest sages were not those who only sought enlightenment, but those who first descended into suffering, into chaos, into the unknown, and emerged with the wisdom of both realms. You cannot truly master yourself if you only embrace one side of existence. To be whole, to be truly powerful, you must understand both the light and the dark.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Now, you might be wondering, what does it mean to be a light chosen one? And what does it mean to be a dark chosen one? A light chosen one is the one who walks the path of healing, of hope, of creation. They bring clarity to others, they uplift, they inspire. They are the ones who enter a room and make people feel safe, who radiate warmth, who remind us of our highest potential. They are the healers, the teachers, the protectors. But the dark chosen ones, they are equally important. They are the ones who embrace the shadows not to destroy, but to challenge, to provoke growth, to force transformation. They are the ones who are not afraid to deal with the uncomfortable truths, who do not shy away from conflict, who push others beyond their limits. They are the ones who understand suffering because they have walked through it, and in doing so, they develop a power that is unshakable. They are the warriors, the strategists, the guides who navigate through the chaos and emerge stronger. Now ask yourself, which one are you? Are you a being of light, meant to heal and uplift? Or are you a being of darkness, meant to challenge and transform? Or are you both? Because the greatest masters of this world, the ones who truly understand existence, are those who have embraced both sides within themselves. They are the ones who have walked through the flames of darkness and emerged with the wisdom of light. They are the ones who have known suffering, not as victims, but as students. They are the ones who do not fear the dark, because they understand that darkness is not evil, it is merely another force of nature, another aspect of the divine. Think about nature itself. The sun gives life, but the night brings rest. Fire destroys, but it also purifies. Storms wreak havoc, but they also bring renewal. The universe does not see light as good and darkness as bad, they simply are. But they exist together, in harmony, each serving its purpose. So why do we as humans try so desperately to reject one side of ourselves? Why do we fear our own darkness? Why do we suppress our own power, our own intensity, our own ability to challenge and transform? The truth is, society has conditioned us to believe that darkness is something to be feared, something to be shunned. But in reality, darkness is where true strength is forged. Light may guide the way, but it is in the darkness that we discover who we truly are. Now, take a moment, reflect on your own life. Have you ever been through a time of suffering, of loss, of confusion? Have you ever felt like you were lost in the shadows, unable to find your way back to the light? Most people would see these moments as curses, as something to escape from as quickly as possible. But what if I told you that these moments were your greatest teachers? What if I told you that the darkness you experienced was not meant to break you, but to shape you? What if I told you that the pain you endured was not a punishment, but an initiation? Because here is the truth. Those who have touched the darkness and survived it, those who have walked through suffering and emerged stronger, are the ones who gain the most powerful wisdom. They are the ones who can guide others through their own darkness, because they have been there themselves. And this is why the world needs both light and dark chosen ones. Because without the light, we would have no hope. But without the darkness, we would have no strength. Without the light, we would not know joy. But without the darkness, we would not understand resilience. Without the light, we would not be inspired to grow. But without the darkness, we would never be forced to transform. They are two sides of the same coin, two forces that must coexist for true balance to exist. So, I ask you again, who are you? Have you been running from your own darkness, believing that you must only embrace light? Have you been rejecting your own power, believing that intensity, challenge, and transformation are things to be feared? Or have you been lost in the shadows, believing that you must only walk in darkness, forgetting that light is also a part of you? The truth is, you are both. You always have been. And the moment you fully embrace both sides of yourself, the light and the dark, is the moment you step into your true power. Now we must go even deeper. We must explore what it truly means to integrate both light and darkness within ourselves. We must understand how to wield this power, how to walk the path of both the healer and the warrior. Because those who master both forces, those who understand the wisdom of both light and dark, are the ones who change the world. The power of integrating both light and dark, awakening your true potential. Most people live their entire lives trapped within a singular identity, believing they must either be purely good or entirely bad, strictly spiritual or completely materialistic, but either selfless or selfish. But this is an illusion, an artificial division created by human minds that crave simple answers. The truth is far more intricate, far more powerful. You are both light and dark, and the moment you stop resisting this truth is the moment you awaken to your highest potential. Think about the most powerful beings in history, the figures who left an undeniable impact on the world. Were they purely beings of light? No. They had moments of deep struggle, moments of darkness, moments where they questioned everything. Buddha was a prince who abandoned everything, plunging into suffering before he found enlightenment. And Jesus faced temptation and betrayal before his ascension. Even the greatest warriors in mythology, figures like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, had to face their own inner turmoil, their own doubts, before stepping into their destiny. They did not attain greatness by embracing only one side of themselves. They became powerful because they harmonized both the light and the dark within. So, how do we integrate these forces? How do we stop seeing them as opposites and instead recognize them as parts of the same whole? To understand this, you must first look at your own life. Every time you have endured suffering, you have gained wisdom. Every time you have faced fear, you have built strength. Every time you have confronted your own darkness, you have emerged with a deeper understanding of who you are. This is not a coincidence. The universe is designed for growth, and growth requires both creation and destruction, both comfort and challenge. The seed must break before it becomes a tree. The caterpillar must dissolve into nothingness before it can emerge as a butterfly. The old version of you must die before the new version can be born. And this is where most people hesitate. They cling to the light because it feels safe, because it is praised, because it does not demand transformation. Or they cling to the darkness, believing they must harden themselves, believing vulnerability is weakness. But both of these paths, when taken alone, are incomplete. The healer must also be a warrior. The warrior must also be a healer. If you are only light, you will be kind but weak. If you are only dark, you will be strong but lost. But if you embrace both, if you learn when to be gentle and when to be fierce, when to surrender and when to fight, that is when you become truly unstoppable. Now, think about your own experiences. Have you ever felt torn between these two forces within you? Have you ever felt the urge to be compassionate but also the need to protect yourself? Have you ever wanted to trust but also feared betrayal? Have you ever sought peace but also felt the call to challenge and transform? These are not contradictions. They are signs that you are awakening. They are signals that you are beginning to see the full spectrum of who you are. True spiritual mastery does not come from rejecting one side of yourself, it comes from integrating both. It comes from knowing when to be the light that nurtures and when to be the darkness that destroys illusions. It comes from understanding that sometimes healing requires breaking things apart first. That sometimes love is not about gentleness but about truth. That sometimes the greatest act of compassion is not to comfort, but to challenge. So, what does this mean for you, here and now? It means you must stop fearing your own depth, stop fearing your own power, stop fearing the parts of yourself that feel uncomfortable, the parts that society has told you to suppress. Your intensity, your passion, your ability to see through illusions, these are not flaws. They are gifts, but only if you learn to wield them with wisdom. The world does not need more people who are afraid of their own power, but it does not need more people who shrink themselves to fit into the expectations of others. It needs those who are willing to embrace their full selves, those who can walk in both the light and the dark without losing themselves. It needs those who can heal and fight, those who can love and set boundaries, those who can be both gentle and unbreakable. And you, yes, you are one of them. You would not be here listening to these words if something deep inside you did not already know this to be true. You have felt this power within you before. Maybe you have ignored it. Maybe you have doubted it, but it has always been there, waiting for you to claim it. Now, the real question is, are you ready? Are you ready to stop running from yourself? Are you ready to stop seeing your emotions, your struggles, your intensity as weaknesses? Are you ready to step into your full power, not just as a being of light, but as a master of both light and dark? Because once you do, once you fully accept all that you are, nothing will ever hold you back again. The sacred dance of creation and destruction, why the universe demands both. There is a force within you that you may not have fully recognized yet, but it is the same force that governs the universe itself, the same force that moves the stars, the tides, the seasons. But it is the eternal dance of creation and destruction, the cycle that ensures growth, renewal, and transformation. And whether you realize it or not, you are a part of this dance. Every breath you take, every choice you make, every experience you live is woven into this rhythm. But here's the secret. If you resist this dance, if you cling only to creation and reject destruction, or if you embrace destruction without understanding its purpose, you will always feel incomplete. You will always feel trapped in a cycle that you do not understand. Think about fire. It is both the giver of warmth and the force of devastation. It can cook food and provide light, but it can also burn down forests and consume entire cities. And yet, when a forest burns, something miraculous happens, new life emerges. The destruction clears space for fresh growth, for stronger trees, for a renewed ecosystem. Without the fire, the old would suffocate the new. Without destruction, creation would stagnate. But now, apply this to your own life. How many times have you resisted change because you feared what you would lose? How many times have you avoided difficult choices because they required you to let go of something familiar? How many times have you held on to relationships, jobs, beliefs, or identities that no longer served you, simply because the thought of destruction was too terrifying? But here's what you must understand. Destruction is not the enemy. It is the doorway to transformation. Most people try to live in constant creation. They chase happiness, they build dreams, they seek growth. But growth is impossible without the willingness to let go. The caterpillar does not become a butterfly by simply growing wings. It must dissolve first. The old self must die so the new self can be born. And the same is true for you. If you are to step into your highest potential, you must be willing to embrace both creation and destruction. You must be willing to shed the old versions of yourself, to burn away the illusions, to break down the walls that have kept you small. But destruction without wisdom is chaos. This is where the balance comes in. You must learn when to destroy and when to create. You must know when to let go and when to build. This is the path of true mastery, not blind positivity, not reckless destruction, but the sacred dance of both. The greatest leaders, the greatest teachers, the greatest warriors have always understood this. They knew when to fight and when to heal. They knew when to tear something down and when to nurture something new. Look at the universe itself. Stars are born only after previous stars explode. Entire galaxies are formed from the remnants of destruction. Even life on Earth exists because of cycles of chaos and renewal. The same force that drives the cosmos drives you. You are not separate from it, you are an expression of it. The same power that births stars is the power that fuels your transformation. But the question is, are you using it? Or are you resisting it? If you have been feeling stuck, if you have been feeling lost, if you have been afraid of change, it is because you have forgotten this truth. You have been clinging to something that is meant to be released. You have been avoiding the destruction that is necessary for your next level of growth. And the longer you resist, the more painful the process becomes. The universe will not stop pushing you toward your evolution. The lessons will keep coming, the challenges will keep appearing, until you finally surrender and allow the transformation to happen. So, what are you holding on to that no longer serves you? What in your life needs to be burned away so that something new can rise from the ashes? What version of yourself must you release so that the greater version of you can emerge? This is not a metaphor, this is a real question. This is the moment where you must look at your life with honesty and ask yourself, what must end so that I can begin? Because here is the ultimate truth. The universe demands both creation and destruction because they are not separate. They are two sides of the same force. They are the inhale and the exhale, the birth and the death, the beginning and the end. And once you stop fearing this cycle, once you embrace the destruction as much as the creation, you will finally be free. You will no longer be a prisoner of fear, of uncertainty, of hesitation. You will move with the rhythm of the universe itself, flowing effortlessly between letting go and building anew. And that is where true power lies, not in avoiding the fire, but in learning how to walk through it. Not in fearing the darkness, but in understanding how to use it. Not in clinging to control, but in surrendering to the sacred dance of existence. Becoming the master of light and dark, the final transformation. Everything you have experienced in this life, every joy, every heartbreak, every victory, every loss has been leading you to this moment. You were never meant to walk a single path of only light or only darkness. You were meant to master both. You were meant to stand at the center, aware of the forces that shape reality, and wield them with wisdom. The greatest mistake people make is believing that power lies in choosing one side or the other. But true mastery, true transformation comes when you realize that the most powerful being is the one who understands both, who integrates both, who walks between them without fear. Think about the legends, the myths, the spiritual masters who have left their mark on this world. None of them were purely one thing. They were not flawless beings of endless kindness, nor were they ruthless destroyers without mercy. But they were a balance of opposites. They understood when to be gentle and when to be fierce, when to surrender and when to fight, when to shine as a beacon of hope and when to descend into the shadows to uncover deeper truths. This is where true power is born, not in avoidance, but in integration. Not in rejecting one side, but in embracing the full spectrum of existence. Now, take a deep breath. Look inward. You have felt both forces within you. You have had moments where you radiated pure light, lifting others, bringing peace, offering love. And you have had moments where you felt the darkness rise, the fire of anger, the depths of sorrow, the whisper of destruction. But here's what most people never realize: neither side is your enemy. The light is your guide, and the dark is your teacher. The light shows you possibilities, and the dark gives you strength to reach them. The light opens your heart, and the dark sharpens your mind. Together, they make you whole. So why do so many people fear their own depths? Why do they suppress their intensity, their passion, their ability to transform? Because society has conditioned us to believe that darkness is dangerous, that power is corrupt, that strength must come only in soft, acceptable forms. But the truth is, your power, your real, undeniable force can only emerge when you stop fearing yourself, when you stop apologizing for your fire, when you stop running from the shadows that are meant to be mastered, not avoided. You have a choice. You can continue living in half-truths, in fragments, in a limited version of yourself. Or you can step into the full force of who you are. You can choose to become the master of both light and dark, the one who understands when to heal and when to destroy, when to offer love and when to stand unshaken against chaos. The world does not need more people who suppress their truth. It does not need more people who hide their power. It needs those who are willing to step fully into themselves, without fear, without hesitation, without autophagy. And that is what you are being called to do, right now, at this moment. So ask yourself, what would you be if you were no longer afraid? If you no longer felt the need to fit into a single box, a single role, a single identity. If you allowed yourself to be both the one who brings light and the one who walks fearlessly through the dark, what kind of force would you become? What kind of impact would you leave on this world? Because the greatest beings do not choose between these forces, they unite them. But they wield both love and power, both wisdom and strength, both creation and destruction. They are not limited by the labels that society tries to place on them. They are not bound by the expectations of others. They are free. And now, so are you. This is your moment, your awakening, your transformation. The world has tried to tell you who you should be, but now you decide. Now you take control. Now you embrace everything that you are: light and dark, healer and warrior, creator and destroyer. You are not just one thing. You never were. And the moment you embrace that truth, you will never be the same again. This is your power. Own it.